Hey guys, this is Illusion PODFIC, and today we're going to be reading The Right Substitution is Key by Addicted Apple. This is Chapter 9. Jason has gotten too comfortable. He'd gotten too comfortable in the Batcave, spending time with Alfred, Robin, Spoiler, and Batgirl. He'd gotten too comfortable having Oracle on his comm line. He'd gotten too comfortable with all of it. He'd stopped being on guard, and he'd started making mistakes. "Leave your report until tomorrow," he told Robin after patrol. "It's past your bedtime." "Okay, Dad," Tim had replied sarcastically. Then, being too comfortable, Jason had replied without thinking, "I'm only like 2 years older than you, you little shit." The Batcave went silent. Jason stopped mid-stride as he realized his mistake. Robin stopped typing. Spoiler and Batgirl stopped stretching. Everyone stared at the stand-in Batman. Shit. "You're 17? Steph demanded. "No." Looking around, Jason could see that no one was buying his lackluster denial. "Okay, yes," he admitted. "But that's just because I don't count the year or so I spent dead, comatose, then catatonic." "You were dead?" Tim demanded. Jason regretted everything. He'd gotten too comfortable, and now this was happening. He tried to play it off with a shrug. Sometimes people get murdered. Sometimes they wake up in their graves and have to dig their way out. Shit happens. What can you do? Nope, that was worse. He'd made things worse. Everyone was staring at him with raw horror on their face. Even Alfred, who surely shouldn't be surprised by this information. The speaker attached to the Batcave crackled to life, and a single word came through from Oracle. Only, it wasn't Oracle speaking with her robotic voice. It was pure, unfiltered Babs. "Jason?" Tim sucked in a stuttering breath. "Of course." "No, not of course," Jason protested, a little panic seeping into his voice. "Who's Jason? My name is Wayne." "Your name is Jason Todd Wayne," Tim returned. "It all makes sense. The skills you have, the knowledge of Bruce and Batman, your perfect imitation, your attachment to Crime Alley, your refusal to let us see your face, your obsession with my English homework. School is important." "I already thought you were similar to Jason," Babs said to Jason through the speakers. "I already thought about how you reminded me of him, but I thought it was impossible. I thought Jason was dead. Except you just said you were dead, so it's not impossible, is it? It really is you. You came back?" Jason sunk into the chair by the Bat computer. This had gotten out of his control very quickly. But you know what? His plan spinning out of control was a staple of his life at this point, and he hadn't been disappointed so far. He tugged off the cowl of the bat suit. "You got me," he said, feeling especially exposed. "You got me?" Tim repeated incredulously. "You're Jason fucking Todd, back from the dead. You've been working with us for over a month without telling us. And all you have to say is, 'You got me?'" "Please calm down, Master Tim," Alfred soothed. Tim squinted at Alfred. "You knew, didn't you? You knew about Jason, and you didn't tell us." "It's not my secret to share," Alfred said. Tim's eye twitched. "Hold on," Steph said, pointing at Jason. "You," she pointed to the memorial case, "are him?" Jason sighed. "I really hate that stupid fucking case. But yeah, I was Robin number 2. "Whoa," Steph said slowly. "You know, I used to get compared to you all the damn time." "It's an easy comparison to make," Jason admitted. "I think you turned out a little better than me, though." "Dude, you're 17. Neither of us are done turning out to be anything yet." Jason couldn't help but crack a smile at that. "Oh my god, you're 17, Steph repeated. Then she lost her shit laughing. "Yeah?" Jason said. Everyone stared at Steph, who would not stop cackling. "He's 17, Steph wheezed between giggles. "Tim, he gave you a bedtime. I low-key wished he was my dad for a hot second. But he's only a year older than me. Look at his face. He still has baby fat. And he's 17. He's 17, and he's the best father any of us have ever had. You can't tell me that's not hilarious." "I think we're a bit focused on that other thing right now," Tim said dryly. "Like how he's our dead childhood hero." "You know what? I'm just gonna lead into it," Steph said, wiping the tears from her eyes. She looked at Jason. "You're my 17-year-old dad now. You've been dad-zoned." Jason did not know how to respond to that. "Okay?" "Let's please focus," Tim said. I think Tim's just a little salty that he didn't figure out Jason's identity first. Steph whispered loudly at Cass. Cass nodded. I never knew Jason before, Tim defended. All I had were Bruce's weird grief rants or cautionary tales. Red Hood was nothing like anything Bruce said about Jason, and Jason was dead. Also, I thought Red Hood was at least 30, since he's such a nag. Yeah, I know that Hood must have known Bruce personally with all the stuff he said about him. But I thought it was from when Bruce trained with the League of Assassins. Why should I have figured out that Robin came back from the dead to mess with my sleep habits and make me eat my vegetables? Salty. Steph coughed. Tim ignored her. We should confirm he really is Jason before we do anything else, he said. We need to do a DNA test and check Jason's coffin. Good old reliable mini Batman. Can we skip the grave desecration? Steph asked. Is it really desecration if he's not even in there? Steph tapped her chin with her finger. I don't actually know. That doesn't matter anyway, Tim said. I'll just call Superboy and have him check with his X-ray vision. In the meantime, we'll get the computer running a DNA test. Jason sighed. And if I don't want to hand over my genetic material? Everyone stared at him blankly. Jason, Babs implored over the comms. Fine, geez, okay, run your stupid tests. But if we're confirming my identity, then I finally get to throw out that Gotham memorial case. Deal, Tim agreed. About an hour later, Jason's identity had been confirmed. The memorial case had been moved into storage, and for the first time since his death, Jason walked up the stairs and joined his family in the manor. Almost automatically, Jason led the way to the kitchen. Tim, Steph, and Cass settled around him, but Alfred stayed by the door. I better prepare your room for you, Master Jason, Alfred said. I'm not staying the night. And he's gone, Jason said. He sighed, feeling distinctly uncomfortable. Why wouldn't you stay the night? Tim asked. This is your house. This is Bruce's house. You're his son, Tim said. This is your house. I'm not Bruce's son. Bruce's son is dead. I'm not saying Bruce is a good parent, Tim said with a smirk, and Jason realized they'd had this conversation before. Only the roles were reversed. Or that you have to forgive him for all the times he fucked up. But I am saying that in his mind, you are his kid. And even if he doesn't know how to show it, and it drives you away with his poor communication, to the point that you run off to find another parent, then get blown up by a psychotic clown. Stop quoting me, Jason protested. That's so creepy. How do you remember what I said word for word? It's like your brain ate a computer. You are Bruce's kid if you want to be. Tim continued with a shit-eating grin. Bruce may be gone right now, but he and Dick will be back one day, because they always come back, and he's going to be so relieved to see you, not because you've been looking after Gotham in his absence, but because he loves you. I hate you, Jason deadpanned just like Tim always did. Dads aren't supposed to say things like that to their kids, Steph commented. They have to be more mature than that. Nice to kids of you, Cass agreed with a pleased grin. God damn, they were all ganging up on him. The manor doorbell sounded, then a few seconds later they could hear the front door open and shut just as Alfred let someone in. Everyone watched as Barbara wheeled into the kitchen. She stopped just inside and stared at Jason. Jason stared back. Sure, he'd spoken to Babs over comms, but this was the first time they'd been face to face since his death, and she knew his identity now. It was different with Tim, Steph, and Cass. None of them had known him before he died. They'd known of him, and maybe they'd even mourned him a little, but they hadn't known him, not like Babs had. Jason, Babs said, looking at him with wonder in her eyes. Barbie, he returned, feeling no small amount of awe himself. Here she was, right in front of him after who knows how long. His big sister. She wheeled closer and reached forward to grab his arm, clamping down on it like she thought he'd disappear. Her eyes misted. You're alive. You're actually here. Yeah. When Jason had first gotten to the manor, he had shied away from all touch. He hadn't had much in the way of positive physical contact since his mom died, and he'd been quick to flinch away from anything Bruce, Dick, and Alfred had tried to offer him. He'd softened with time, but the first hug he'd accepted at the manor had actually been from Babs. Maybe because she'd seemed less threatening than the others, though she could have still kicked his ass 7 ways to Sunday. But even after Jason had gotten used to accepting the physical affection bestowed upon him by his new family, he'd never gotten used to initiating it. That wasn't because he hadn't wanted it, but it had been hard to reach out and expect to be met with kindness. Even when he knew intellectually that he wouldn't be rejected. But today, Jason leant down and, for the first time, initiated a hug with Babs. They clung to each other tightly for longer than socially acceptable, and, when they pulled away, they were both smiling through their tears. "I missed you, Barbie," Jason said. "Miss doesn't even begin to cover it," Babs returned. She wiped out her eyes, but the tears kept coming. Then she started hitting him on the arm. "You hit. Asshole hit. Jason hit. Peter hit. Todd hit. Wayne hit. Why didn't you tell us you were here? Hit. Why didn't you tell me? Hit. Why didn't you come home?" "Honestly," Jason sighed, "I wasn't all that pleased with Bruce after everything. I recovered from death to figure out the guy who murdered me was still menacing Gotham. And I'd been replaced in a matter of months." He swung a lazy hand gesture at him. "Plus, there was all that trauma, brain damage, and League of Assassins brainwashing I'd been subjected to. I didn't come back to Gotham to make nice. I'd made plans, selected a path, committed to being a villain. I came back for revenge." Babs rolled her eyes plainly. "I see you're still a massive theater kid." It was probably the best thing she could have said to put Jason at ease. He was admitting to his unhinged phase, and she wasn't saying it wasn't a big deal. She was saying she didn't see him any differently. Jason let out a mock-offended noise. Then he continued. "When Bruce and Dick disappeared, it pretty effectively disrupted all my plans. I couldn't have Robin dying when Batman wasn't around to see it, so I had to stop in to look over him. Then I ended up killing the Joker, which was supposed to be part of the final act of my whole planned show. Things felt better when the clown died. I was adrift without a purpose, but I also felt more stable and less obsessive. I could pull back and actually look at what I was doing and think about what I wanted for myself. Then suddenly I was Batman somehow. That transition still feels like a bit of a fever dream, like, seriously," he turned to Tim. "What the fuck were you thinking?" Tim shrugged. "You can't argue with these results." "Anyway," Jason sighed. "Alfred figured me out ages ago, of course. But I guess even after I got my head on straight, I didn't want to break whatever weird balance I'd found being with you guys. You all may have been okay to work with Red Hood, but that's not the same as accepting me as a family. Accepting that I was Jason Todd. Am, not was," Tim corrected. "You're still Jason Todd." Jason smiled tentatively at him. "Yeah. Of course you're family, Dad," Steph cut in. "Which, okay." "Brother of us," Cass said. "Brother, who is Dad. Dad, brother." "I'm not sure about how I feel about this dad thing you started," Jason said. "I think all new fathers feel that way," Babs said with a smirk. "Not you too, Barbie." Jason tried to muster up some exasperation, but in the end, he just felt warm. Alright guys, and that is the end of chapter 9 of The Right Substitution is Key by Addicted Apple. I hope you guys liked it and see you next chapter.